Usually, one begins to speak of the future, and the confidence and self reliance with which one does so is beyond bounds. You make plans and projects, talk fervently of the rank of general, though you have not yet reached the rank of a lieutenant. And altogether, you fire off such high flown nonsense that your listener must have a great deal of love and ignorance of life to assent to it. Fortunately for men, women in love are always blinded by their feelings and never know anything of life. Far from not assenting, they actually turn pale with holy awe, are full of reverence, and hang greedily on the maniac's words. Sasha listened to me with attention, but I soon detected an absent-minded expression on her face. She did not understand me. The future of which I talked interested her only in its external aspect, and I was wasting time in displaying my plans and projects before her. She was keenly interested in knowing which would be her room, what paper she would have in the room, why I had a bright piano instead of a grand piano, and so on. She examined carefully all the little things on my table, looked at the photographs, sniffed at the bottles, peeled the old stamps of the envelopes, saying she wanted them for something. "Please collect old stamps for me," she said, making a grave face. "Please do." Then she found a nut in the window, noisily cracked it and ate it. "Why don't you stick little labels on the backs of your books?" she asked, taking a look at the bookcase. "What for?" "Oh, so that each book should have its number. And where am I to put my books? I've got books too, you know." "What books have you got?" I asked. Sasha raised her eyebrows, thought a moment, and said, "All sorts." And if it had entered my head to ask her what thoughts, what convictions, what aims she had, she would no doubt have raised her eyebrows, thought a minute, and have said in the same way, "All sorts." Later I saw Sasha home and left her house regularly, officially engaged, and was so reckoned at our wedding. If the reader will allow me to judge merely from my personal experience, I maintain that to be engaged is very dreary, far more so than to be a husband or nothing at all. An engaged man is neither one thing nor the other. He has left one side of the river and not reached the other. He's not married, and he can't be said to be a bachelor, but is in something new, not unlike the condition of the porter whom I have mentioned above. Every day, as soon as I had a free moment, I hastened to my fiancé. As I went, I usually bore within me a multitude of hopes, desires, intentions, suggestions, phrases. I always fancied that as soon as the maid opened the door, I should, from feeling oppressed and stifled, plunge at once up to my neck into a sea of refreshing happiness. But it always turned out otherwise, in fact. Every time I went to see my fiancée, I found all her family and other members of the household busy over the silly trousseau. And by the way, they were hard at work, sewing for 2 months, and then they had less than 100 rubles worth of things. There was a smell of irons, candle grease and fumes, buggles scrunched under one's feet. The two most important rooms were piled up with billows of linen, calico, and muslin, and from among the billows peeped out Sasha's little head with a thread between her teeth. All the sewing party welcomed me with cries of delight, but at once led me off into the dining room, where I could not hinder them nor see what only husbands are permitted to behold. In spite of my feelings, I had to sit in the dining room and converse with Pevenova, one of the poor relations. Sasha, looking worried and excited, kept running by me with a thimble, a skein of wool, or some other boring object. Wait, I shan't be a minute," she would say, when I raised imploring eyes to her. "Only fancy that wretch Stepanida has spoiled the bodies of the barège dress." And after waiting in vain for this grace, I lost my temper, went out of the house, and walked about the streets in the company of the new cane I had bought. Or I would want to go for a walk or a drive with my fiancé, would go round and find her already standing in the hall with her mother, dressed to go out and playing with her parasol. "Oh, we are going to the arcade," she would say. "We have got to buy some more cashmere and change the hat." My outing is knocked on the head. I join the ladies and go with them to the arcade. It is revoltingly dull to listen to women's shopping, haggling, and trying to outdo the sharp shopman. I felt ashamed when Sasha, after turning over masses of material and knocking down the prices to a minimum, walked out of the shop without buying anything, or else told the shopman to cut her some half ruble's worth. When they came out of the shop, Sasha and her mama, with scared and worried faces, would discuss at length having made a mistake, having bought the wrong thing, the flowers in the chintz being too dark, and so on. Yes, it is a bore to be engaged. I am glad it's over. Now I am married. It is evening. I am sitting in my study, reading. Behind me on the sofa, Sasha is sitting munching something noisily. I want a glass of beer. "Sasha, look for the corkscrew," I say. "It's lying about somewhere." Sasha leaps up, rummages in a disorderly way among 2 or 3 heaps of paper, drops the matches, and without finding the corkscrew, sits down in silence. 5 minutes pass, 10. I begin to be fretted both by thirst and vexation. "Sasha, do look for the corkscrew," I say. Sasha leaps up again and rummages among the papers near me. Her munching and rustling of the papers affect me like the sound of sharpening knives against each other. I get up and begin looking for the corkscrew myself. At last, it is found and the beer is uncorked. Sasha remains by the table and begins telling me something at great length. "You'd better read something, Sasha," I say. She takes up a book, sits down facing me, and begins moving her lips. I look at her little forehead, moving lips, and sink into thought. She's getting on for 20, I reflect. If one takes a boy of the educated class and of that age and compares them, what a difference. The boy would have knowledge and convictions and some intelligence. But I forgive that difference just as the low forehead and moving lips are forgiven. I remember in my old Lovelace days I have cast off women for a stain on their stockings, or for one foolish word, or for not cleaning their teeth, and now I forgive everything. The munching, the muddling about after the corkscrew, the slovenliness, the lone talking about nothing that matters. I forgive it all, almost unconsciously, with no effort of will, as though Sasha's mistakes were my mistakes, and many things which would have made me wince in old days move me to tenderness and even rapture. The explanation of this forgiveness of everything lies in my love for Sasha. But what is the explanation of love itself? I really don't know.